Workplace drama is one thing, but what happens when your coworker is a living nightmare? Today, we're diving into 3 true bone-chilling stories about coworkers that will make you rethink who you sit next to every day. These stories are sent in by viewers like you, and they are absolutely terrifying. Subscribe channel for more stories. So, grab your coffee, maybe lock your office door, and let's get into it. Our first story comes from a viewer named Chloe, who worked as a junior graphic designer at a small marketing firm. Her story revolves around a senior designer. Let's call him Mark. From the start, Mark was a bit odd. He was intensely quiet, but his eyes seemed to follow everyone, especially Chloe. At first, she brushed it off as him just being a socially awkward, focused employee. He was brilliant at his job, and his designs often won the firm major contracts, so nobody questioned his eccentricities. The creepiness started escalating in subtle ways. Chloe would find little gifts on her desk in the morning. A single, perfect origami crane. A rare, exotic flower in a tiny vase. A beautifully sketched portrait of her, which was flattering but also deeply unsettling since she never sat for him. She mentioned it to a few other colleagues, but they just laughed it off. "Oh, that's just Mark," they'd say. "He's an artist. He probably has a little crush." Chloe tried to ignore it, but the gifts became more personal and more bizarre. One morning, she found a small, antique-looking silver locket on her keyboard. It was beautiful, but when she opened it, her blood ran cold. Inside, instead of a space for a photo, was a single, tightly coiled strand of her own reddish-brown hair. She had no idea how he could have gotten it. She started tying her hair up tightly every day, feeling a constant sense of being watched. Subscribe channel for more stories. She began to notice Mark mirroring her. If she bought a specific brand of tea, he'd have the same one the next day. He started wearing the same shade of blue she favored. He even started using the same quirky phrases she used. It was like he was trying to absorb her personality. The office manager dismissed her concerns as her being overly sensitive. The breaking point came during the company's annual retreat. They were at a lakeside resort, and after a day of team-building exercises, everyone was relaxing by a large bonfire. Chloe was talking with a group when she felt a cold dread wash over her. She turned and saw Mark standing in the shadows, just beyond the firelight, holding a camera with a long telephoto lens pointed directly at her. He wasn't even trying to hide it. His expression was completely blank. That night, she couldn't sleep. She locked her cabin door and barricaded it with a chair. Around 2 a.m., she heard a faint scratching sound at her window. Peeking through the blinds, she saw Mark's face, illuminated by his phone screen. He was just standing there, staring at her window, scratching at the glass with his fingernail. Chloe didn't scream. She was paralyzed with fear. She quietly packed her bag, and at the first light of dawn, she left the retreat without a word, drove home, and emailed her resignation. Subscribe channel for more stories. She never found out what happened with Mark, but to this day, the sound of scratching sends a shiver down her spine. This next story is from a guy named Ben, who worked the night shift at a large, isolated warehouse. His job was pretty straightforward: patrol the massive facility, make sure all the doors were secure, and monitor the security cameras. For the first few months, his only company was an older security guard named Gary. Gary was a man of few words, mostly keeping to himself in the main security office. The warehouse itself was creepy at night. The endless aisles of towering shelves created long, dark shadows, and every little sound echoed through the cavernous space. Ben often felt like he was being watched, but he chalked it up to the eerie atmosphere. Gary did little to ease his nerves. He would often tell Ben strange, disjointed stories about things he'd seen in the warehouse over the years, shadows moving on their own, whispers coming from empty aisles, and a tall man who walked the upper levels. Ben assumed Gary was just trying to spook the new guy. One night, Ben was doing his rounds on the 3rd floor when he heard a loud crash from the far end of the aisle. His heart jumped into his throat. He cautiously made his way toward the sound, flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. He found a large box that had fallen from a top shelf, its contents spilled across the floor. It was strange, as these boxes were stacked securely. He radioed Gary. "Hey, Gary, you there? Had a box fall up on level 3. Did you see anything on the cameras?" The radio was silent for a long moment, then crackled to life. Gary's voice was strained. "Stay where you are, kid. I'm watching you." Ben froze. "Watching me? What do you mean?" Gary replied, his voice a low whisper. "He doesn't like it when you get too close. The tall man. He's with you." Ben's blood turned to ice. He swung his flashlight beam around wildly, but the aisle was empty. "Gary, this isn't funny. Stop messing around." But the radio was silent. Shaken, Ben decided to head back to the security office. As he walked, he felt an undeniable presence behind him. He didn't dare look back. He just walked faster. When he finally got to the office, the door was locked. He banged on it, calling Gary's name. No answer. Peeking through the small window, he saw the office was empty, but all the monitors were on. And on one screen, he saw himself standing outside the door, viewed from the camera directly above him. On another monitor, he saw the aisle where the box had fallen. And there, standing in the middle of the aisle, was a tall, impossibly thin figure, just a silhouette in the grainy footage. As he watched, the figure slowly turned its head to look directly at the camera. Then, all the monitors went to static. Ben ran. He got in his car and drove off, leaving all his belongings behind. He called the police from a gas station down the road. When they investigated, they found the warehouse completely empty. Gary was gone. His car was still in the parking lot, and his wallet and keys were on his desk. He was never seen again. Ben found a new job, far away from any night shifts. Our final story comes from Sarah, who was an intern at a high-end architecture firm. She was excited about the opportunity, but one of her supervisors, a woman named Evelyn, made her life a living hell. Evelyn wasn't just a tough boss. She was manipulative and cruel. She would publicly humiliate Sarah for tiny mistakes, steal her ideas and present them as her own, and give her impossible deadlines just to watch her fail. Sarah dreaded going to work, but she needed the internship for her degree. The strangest thing about Evelyn was her obsession with her office plant, a large, exotic-looking fern. She talked to it, meticulously cleaned its leaves, and had a special humidifier just for it. She called it her baby. One afternoon, Sarah accidentally knocked the plant over while rushing to meet one of Evelyn's impossible deadlines. The pot shattered, and soil spilled everywhere. Evelyn wasn't there, so Sarah quickly cleaned up the mess, repotted the fern in a new pot from the supply closet, and hoped Evelyn wouldn't notice. She noticed the next morning. Evelyn came to Sarah's desk. her face pale with fury. She didn't yell. She spoke in a low, menacing whisper. "You hurt my baby." Sarah apologized profusely, explaining it was an accident. Evelyn just stared at her with cold, empty eyes and said, "It needs to be fed. And now, it's very, very hungry." Sarah was completely creeped out, but tried to get back to work. From that day on, strange things started happening to Sarah. She'd get crippling migraines at her desk. She'd feel dizzy and nauseous for no reason. She lost a significant amount of weight and always felt drained and weak. Doctors couldn't find anything wrong with her. Meanwhile, Evelyn's fern was thriving. It was growing at an alarming rate, its leaves a vibrant, almost unnatural green. Evelyn seemed happier than ever, often smiling serenely at her plant. The horrifying truth came to light thanks to a suspicious cleaning crew member. He noticed that every evening, after Sarah had gone home, Evelyn would take Sarah's reusable water bottle from her desk, go to her office, and then return it. And if you have a scary true story of your own, feel free to share it with us. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more chilling stories. See you next time.